Close your eyes and picture Pandora, but don't think of the glowing jungles from the first film, or the brilliant turquoise oceans from The Way of Water. Instead, imagine a world where the sky is choked with smoke, where the forests are charred black, and the very ground cracks under your feet from the intense heat. Ash hangs thick in the air, and that familiar sense of wonder is replaced by a gut-wrenching feeling of danger. This isn't some fan art. It's not an alternate timeline. This is the world of the next film, reportedly titled Avatar: Fire and Ash. It is a story where Jake Sully's greatest enemy might not be the humans from the sky, but other Na'vi. Let's be real, Avatar stopped being just a movie with good CGI a long time ago. The first film dropped way back in 2009 and completely revolutionized what we expect from a blockbuster. It wasn't just a movie, it was an experience. Then, we waited over a decade to return with The Way of Water, and once again, James Cameron delivered more than just a visual spectacle. Pandora felt like a real, breathing place you could escape to for 3 hours. But now, a third chapter is on the horizon, and it looks like Cameron is throwing out the rulebook. Instead of playing it safe and just giving us more of the same, he's steering the saga into something darker, far more complex, and frankly, a lot more risky. The simple conflict of greedy humans versus spiritual Na'vi is about to get a major shake-up. We're heading into a story where the lines between good and evil are blurred, where there might not be a perfectly right side at all. What we know so far is that on Pandora, a new Na'vi clan is set to appear, forged in fire and ash. They are a people of the volcano, and they might just be aligning themselves with the humans. Think about that for a second. The very people who were once the victims of human colonization might now become aggressors themselves. The pristine fantasy paradise of Pandora is transforming into a brutal war zone, where the conflict is as much internal as it is external. In this video, we're not just going to recap the official synopsis. We're going to dive deep into how fire and ash could fundamentally change the entire Avatar saga. We'll explore why James Cameron is breaking his own established rules, and most importantly, we'll ask the question, is the audience actually ready to see Pandora when it is no longer a beautiful postcard, but a raw, painful scar? Let's start with the big one, the introduction of the Ash people. For 2 movies, our understanding of the Na'vi has been shaped by the Omaticaya and the Metkayana. Both clans, despite their differences, are deeply connected to Awa, the life force of Pandora. They represent a harmonious, spiritual existence that stands in stark contrast to humanity's destructive nature. But the Ash people are different. Cameron himself has described them as a more aggressive, volcanic race. This isn't just about adding a new flavor of Na'vi. This is a game changer for the entire mythology of Pandora. It challenges the very idea that all Na'vi are inherently good and connected to nature in the same way. It introduces the concept of moral ambiguity within the Na'vi themselves. What happens when the good guys aren't a monolith? What if some Na'vi see the humans not as invaders, but as potential allies? Or perhaps see their way of life as superior? This sets the stage for a Na'vi civil war. Imagine Jake Sully, who has spent years fighting to unite the clans against the RDA, now having to face a faction of his own adopted people. This isn't just another battle, it's a war for the soul of Pandora. The conflict becomes infinitely more personal and tragic. The stakes are no longer just about survival against an external threat, but about the very identity and future of the Na'vi. Think of how this mirrors our own world's history. Conflicts are rarely simple tales of good versus evil. They are often born from differing ideologies, resource scarcity, and historical grievances, even among people who share a common heritage. By introducing the Ash people, Cameron is elevating Avatar from a fantasy allegory to a more complex political and social drama. He's forcing us to confront the idea that even in a world as seemingly pure as Pandora, the seeds of conflict can grow from within. Now, let's talk about why Cameron is taking this risk. He could have easily given us another story of Jake and Neytiri leading the resistance against a new RDA base. It would have been visually stunning and commercially successful. But Cameron has always been a filmmaker who pushes boundaries, not just technologically, but narratively. With the first Avatar, he established the world. With The Way of Water, he expanded it, showing us the incredible diversity of Pandora's ecosystems and cultures. Now, with Fire and Ash, he's deconstructing it. He's peeling back the layers of paradise to reveal the potential for darkness that lies beneath. This is classic storytelling evolution. You build a world, you explore it, and then you challenge its foundations to see what it's really made of. Cameron is breaking his own rules because that's how you keep a saga fresh and compelling. The humans bad, Na'vi good dynamic was powerful, but after 2 films, it risks becoming predictable. By introducing a bad Na'vi clan, he complicates the narrative and forces the audience to engage on a deeper level. We can no longer just root for the Na'vi as a whole. We have to choose a side. We have to grapple with the idea that our heroes might be flawed, and our villains might have understandable motivations. This move also makes the humans more interesting. If the Ash people are willing to work with them, it suggests that the human presence on Pandora isn't a single, unified force of destruction. Perhaps there are factions within the RDA with different goals. Maybe some humans are genuinely trying to find a new way to coexist. This creates a much more nuanced and realistic portrayal of a colonization conflict. It's no longer a simple binary. It's a complex web of alliances, betrayals, and shifting loyalties. This brings us to the final, and perhaps most important, question. Are we, the audience, ready for this? We fell in love with Pandora as an escape. It was a world of breathtaking beauty, a sanctuary from our own polluted and conflicted reality. The first 2 films were a form of wish fulfillment, a chance to immerse ourselves in a world where nature was sacred and life was pure. Fire and Ash threatens to shatter that illusion. It's going to show us a Pandora that is wounded, divided, and at war with itself. The vibrant colors of the jungle and ocean will be replaced by the grim palette of fire, smoke, and ash. The sense of wonder might be overshadowed by a sense of dread. So, are we ready to see Pandora as a scar? I think we are. Audiences have become more sophisticated. We crave complexity and moral ambiguity. We've seen it in shows like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, where beloved characters make terrible choices and villains reveal surprising humanity. We are no longer satisfied with simple fairy tales. By making Pandora a more broken and realistic world, Cameron is actually making it more relatable. Our own world is not a paradise. It's a place of conflict, beauty, and pain, all at the same time. By reflecting this complexity in Pandora, Cameron is making the story more powerful and more relevant. It's a bold move, but it is a necessary one to ensure that the Avatar saga continues to evolve and resonate with audiences for years to come. The beauty of Pandora was the hook, but the strength of its story is what will keep us coming back. Seeing Jake and Neytiri navigate a world where the lines are blurred, where their enemies could be their own kind, and where the planet itself is scarred by conflict is going to be a challenging, but ultimately more rewarding experience. It forces us to ask tougher questions about war, peace, and what it truly means to fight for your home. This isn't just the next chapter, it's a turning point for the entire franchise. The age of innocence on Pandora is over. The age of fire and ash is about to begin, and I, for one, can't wait to see how it all unfolds. It promises to be a darker, more mature, and more thought-provoking journey than anything we've seen before. The postcard is burning, and in its place, we're about to get a raw, unfiltered look at the heart of a world at war. What do you think? Are you excited about this darker direction for Avatar? Do you think introducing an enemy Na'vi clan is a good idea? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're like me, leaving the world of Pandora at the end of The Way of Water felt like waking up from an incredible dream. The bioluminescent forests, the breathtaking ocean life, it wasn't just a movie, it was an experience. And now, the whispers are starting about where James Cameron is taking us next. We've explored the forests with the Omaticaya, we've dived into the oceans with the Medcaena, and now it seems we're heading straight into the flames with a new clan, the Ash people. So, what can we expect from Avatar 3 *? Well, get ready, because things are about to heat up, literally. Today, we're doing a deep dive into everything we know so far about the next chapter in the Pandora saga. We'll explore why fire is the perfect next element for the series, break down the shocking new conflict that will pit Na'vi against Na'vi, and speculate on what this all means for the future of Jake Sully's family and Pandora itself. Before we jump in, if you love breaking down your favorite movies and exploring every hidden detail, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more content like this. And don't forget to like the video and drop a comment below. Are you Team Jake, or are you curious about the new Fire Clan? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Alright, let's get into it. The journey through Pandora has always been about discovery. In the first film, we fell in love with the lush, vibrant rainforests alongside Jake. We learned the ways of the Omaticaya, connected with the Tree of Souls, and saw the world through their eyes. The forest wasn't just a setting. It was a character, a living, breathing entity that represented the interconnectedness of all life on Pandora. It was a world of harmony, brutally disrupted by the Sky People. The conflict was clear. Nature versus industrial greed, Na'vi versus humans. Then, the way of water completely shifted our perspective. Cameron plunged us into the turquoise depths of Pandora's oceans, introducing us to the Neteyam clan. This wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a whole new way of life. We learned to hold our breath, ride the powerful token, and respect the rhythm of the tides. The ocean represented adaptation, resilience, and a different kind of spiritual connection. It expanded our understanding of what it means to be Na'vi, showing us that their culture is as diverse and vast as the planet itself. So, where do you go from forests and oceans? The logical and most dramatic step is fire. Fire is a force of both creation and destruction. It can cleanse and renew, but it can also consume and destroy. By introducing the Ash People, a clan of Na'vi who embrace this volatile element, Cameron is setting the stage for a much darker and more complex story. We're moving beyond the simple good versus evil narrative. This isn't just about humans threatening Pandora anymore. It's about an internal conflict, a clash of ideologies within the Na'vi themselves. Think about the symbolism. While the forest and ocean clans live in harmony with their environments, the Ash People are described as a more aggressive, volcanic-dwelling tribe. This suggests a completely different philosophy. Perhaps they see fire not as a destructive force to be feared, but as a tool of power and purification. This ideological divide is fascinating because it forces us to question our own assumptions about the Na'vi. Are they all the peaceful, nature-loving beings we thought they were? Or are there factions with darker, more militant ambitions? This brings us to the heart of the new conflict, Na'vi fighting Na'vi. This is a game-changer for the franchise. Until now, Jake Sully has been the leader of a unified resistance against a common enemy. He brought the clans together to fight the RDA, but in Avatar 3 he's facing a threat from within. His family is going to be caught in the crossfire of a civil war, a battle for the very soul of the Na'vi people. Imagine the moral complexity here. Jake, a former human, has to navigate a war between two indigenous groups. Whose side does he take? How does he protect his family when the enemy looks just like them? His children, who are part human and part Na'vi, already struggle with their identity. Now, they'll be torn between different Na'vi factions, forcing them to make impossible choices. Loek, always the rebel, might be drawn to the strength and aggression of the Ash People. Kiri, with her deep connection to Awa, might see them as a corruption of nature. The leader of the Ash People, Varong, is set to be a formidable new antagonist. This isn't just another military commander like Quaritch. This is a Na'vi leader with her own beliefs, her own culture, and her own reasons for fighting. She will challenge Jake not just on the battlefield, but ideologically. This creates a much more compelling villain because her motivations might be understandable, even if her methods are extreme. Maybe her clan has suffered in a way we haven't seen yet. Maybe they believe that the only way to truly protect Pandora is to burn away the human influence and any Na'vi who tolerate it. This internal conflict also raises the stakes for the entire planet. If the Na'vi are fighting each other, they are vulnerable. The RDA is still out there, and you can bet they will exploit this division for their own gain. A Na'vi civil war could be the very thing that allows the humans to finally conquer Pandora. Jake won't just be fighting to save his family. He'll be fighting to prevent his adopted people from destroying themselves from within. It's a classic story of a hero trying to hold a fractured world together, and it's going to be absolutely epic to watch. So, what does this all mean for the future of the series? By introducing the Ash People and a Na'vi civil war, James Cameron is taking a huge risk, but it's a necessary one. To keep the story fresh and engaging across 5 films, you can't just keep repeating the same formula. You have to evolve, challenge your characters, and force them into new and uncomfortable situations. Avatar 3 is shaping up to be the Empire Strikes Back of the series, a darker, more emotionally charged chapter that will test our heroes in ways we've never seen. This new direction also opens up endless possibilities for the future. If there's a fire clan, what other types of Na'vi might exist on Pandora? Are there mountain clans, desert clans, maybe even clans that live in the frozen polar regions? Cameron has hinted that we'll see a different side of Earth as well, showing that not all humans are greedy corporate villains. The universe of Avatar is getting bigger, richer, and a lot more gray. The lines between good and evil are blurring, and that's where the most interesting stories are told. The theme of fire also suggests a potential rebirth for the series. After the fire, the land is often more fertile than before. Perhaps this conflict, as brutal as it may be, is necessary for the Na'vi to evolve and become stronger. Maybe it will force Jake to confront the last remnants of his human past and fully embrace his role as a Na'vi leader. And for his children, it will be a trial by fire that forges them into the heroes they are destined to become. Ultimately, by moving into the territory of fire and ash, Cameron is promising us a story that is not just visually spectacular, but also emotionally and thematically complex. Ever wonder how a movie franchise can stay so fresh and compelling across decades? For James Cameron's Avatar, the secret lies in a simple, elemental journey: forest, water, and fire. Let's break down how this epic saga evolves, movie by movie, and what it tells us about the future of Pandora. When we first landed on Pandora in 2009, it was pure, unfiltered wonder. We experienced it all through the eyes of Jake Sully, a man who left his broken human body behind to be reborn in a world beyond his wildest dreams. Remember that feeling? The glowing forests of the Omaticaya, where every plant, every creature, seemed to pulse with life. The planet itself was a living, breathing entity that responded to touch. It was a sensory overload in the best possible way. Sure, the story had conflict, the RDA, corporate greed, a full-blown war, but the emotion that stuck with me long after the credits rolled was awe. At its heart, the first Avatar was a story of discovery. It was about a man finding a new world, a new purpose, and ultimately choosing it over his old, dying one. Then, 13 years later, the Way of Water completely shifted the tone. The story moved from the forests to the vast oceans, introducing us to the Neteyam clan. This wasn't just a change of scenery. It was a deep dive into a new culture built on breath, rhythm, and a profound connection to the sea. Pandora was no longer just a beautiful backdrop for an adventure. It had become a home, a sanctuary for a family on the run. Jake Sully wasn't the wide-eyed rookie anymore. We saw him as a father, a husband, a leader, and a fugitive, all at once. The central theme evolved from "I found a new world" to "I have to protect my family in this world." The focus zoomed in. It was no longer a lone hero's journey. Instead, we were invested in a family saga. Each of Jake and Neytiri's children, Neteyam, Loak, Kiri, Tuk, had their own voice, their own struggles, their own part to play in this grand narrative. This is where the story got personal, and where the seeds for the future were sown. Two crucial events in the Way of Water set the stage for everything that comes next, leading us directly toward the third film, tentatively titled The Seed Bearer, and its themes of fire and ash. The first, and most heart-wrenching, was Neteyam's death. That single moment shattered any illusion that this was a consequence-free fantasy adventure. The raw, unfiltered grief of Jake and Neytiri was palpable. Losing their firstborn son didn't just shake them, it completely rewired their DNA as parents and as warriors. Every future battle, every risk, every decision from that point on is colored by that loss. The stakes were no longer just about saving a planet. They were about preventing another empty space at their family table. The fear of losing another child becomes their driving force and, potentially, their greatest weakness. This trauma isn't just a plot point, it's a deep, psychological wound that will define their actions moving forward. It transforms Jake from a reluctant leader into a father fueled by a desperate, protective rage. The second major development was the return of Colonel Quaritch, but not as we knew him. Resurrected in a Na'vi avatar body, he becomes Jake's dark mirror. He has the same strength, the same agility, the same physical advantages that Jake once marveled at. But at his core, he is still the same, ruthless soldier, driven by vengeance and a twisted sense of duty. This brilliant move by Cameron elevated the conflict beyond a simple humans versus natives narrative. It's now something far more personal and complex. The war is no longer just about territory or resources. It's about ideology, about what it truly means to be Na'vi. It's a battle for the very soul of Pandora, fought between two men who represent two opposing paths. Jake, the human who embraced the Na'vi way, and Quaritch, the human who wears a Na'vi body like a weapon. Their rivalry is now written into the fabric of Pandora itself, a personal vendetta wrapped in a global conflict. And let's not forget the planet's role in all of this. Pandora itself is a character, and its journey is just as important as the Sullys. In the first film, the planet was a victim of human greed, its sacred trees bulldozed for a mineral. It was a story of colonial exploitation. In the second film, this theme deepened. We witnessed the horrific slaughter of the Tulkun, magnificent, intelligent creatures hunted down for a tiny vial of a substance that stops human aging. Pandora was again suffering at the hands of outsiders, its ocean stained by their cruelty. Yet, through all this, Pandora still felt largely whole, almost idealized. The damage was localized, the planet's spirit, Eywa, still strong. But the future, hinted at by the theme of fire and ash, suggests a darker turn. The introduction of the Ash people, the clan of Na'vi who are said to live in a volcanic region, is a game changer. This implies that not all Na'vi are the peaceful, nature-loving people we've come to know. It suggests there are factions within Pandora, cultures forged not in lush rainforests or vibrant reefs, but in fire, smoke, and hardship. This could mean that Pandora isn't just suffering from external threats anymore. The planet itself might be starting to fracture from within. What happens when the threat isn't just from the sky people, but from your own kind? What happens when Pandora's children are at war with each other? The idea of a fire clan forces us to reconsider our entire understanding of the Na'vi. It introduces a moral complexity that the franchise hasn't explored yet. Are these Na'vi antagonists? Or are they simply a different kind of people, shaped by a harsher environment? This evolution is what makes the Avatar saga so brilliant. It started as a story of discovery and wonder in the forest. It deepened into a story of family, protection, and grief in the water. And now, it's heading towards a story of internal conflict, moral ambiguity, and transformation in fire. Each element represents not just a new location, but a new emotional core, a new set of stakes, and a new chapter in the lives of the characters we've grown to love. The journey from forest to water to fire is the journey of a world and a family being pushed to its absolute limit, and we'll be right there to see what rises from the ashes. Thanks for watching. If you love deep dives into your favorite movie worlds, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Let me know in the comments what you think the Ash people will be like. See you next time. Why will Avatar 3 be completely different from the first two films? The answer lies in one word: fire. And I'm not just talking about volcanoes and lava. Think about the Na'vi clans we've met so far. The Omaticaya, the Forest Clan, are all about harmony and balance with their environment. Their entire culture is built on the idea of Eywa, the interconnectedness of all living things. They are the guardians of the forest, deeply spiritual and in tune with nature. Then we met the Neteyam, the Reef people. Their philosophy is the way of water, emphasizing patience, flow, and adaptability. They live in rhythm with the ocean's tides, their lives dictated by the cycles of the sea. They are strong and resilient, but their strength comes from moving with the current, not against it. Both of these clans, despite their differences, live in environments that are fundamentally life-giving. The forest and the ocean are beautiful, vibrant ecosystems that provide for them. Their conflicts largely come from outside forces, from the sky people who threaten their idyllic worlds. But now, enter the Ash people, the Fire Clan. Their world is the complete opposite. Imagine growing up where the sky is choked with smoke, the ground is treacherous and unstable, and the air itself can be hostile. Their environment isn't a nurturing cradle, it's a crucible. Every single day is a fight for survival. This isn't a place of abundance, it's a land of scarcity and danger. That kind of constant pressure forges a very different kind of people. If the forest breeds harmony and the ocean breeds patience, what does fire breed? Hardness, suspicion, a pragmatic, maybe even brutal mindset. When you live on a knife's edge, you learn to make tough choices. You learn that survival sometimes demands actions that others might see as harsh or cruel. Their core philosophy won't be about balance or flow, it will be about endurance and dominance. It has to be. Their very existence is a testament to their strength and their will to live against all odds. This is why Avatar 3 can't just be another beautiful tour of a new part of Pandora. The story has fundamentally outgrown its simple formula. The first movie was about discovery and falling in love with a new world. The second was about family and finding refuge. But along the way, a lot of emotional baggage has piled up. Think about all the unresolved conflicts, the trauma, the losses. Jake and Neytiri are still grappling with the scars of war. Their children have grown up in a world of constant threat. Quaritch is back, more dangerous than ever. and now he has a personal vendetta. There are too many wounds that haven't healed. The introduction of the Fire Clan isn't just about adding a new visual spectacle. It's the catalyst that will force all these simmering tensions to boil over. The fire in the title isn't just literal lava, it's a metaphor. It represents rage, vengeance, and the destructive nature of unchecked conflict. It's the fire of war that has been threatening to consume Pandora since the very beginning. This new clan, shaped by a world of ash and fire, will likely see the world in black and white. They might see the other Na'vi clans as soft, complacent, or naive. They might see the Sky People not just as invaders, but as an existential threat that must be eradicated by any means necessary. They could represent a more extreme Na'vi perspective, one that doesn't seek balance but seeks victory at all costs. This sets the stage for a much darker, more complex story. The conflict will no longer be a simple case of Na'vi versus humans. It will become a multifaceted war with internal divisions. Will Jake, a former human, be able to unite all the Na'vi clans when one of them is so fundamentally different, so much more aggressive? How will Neytiri, who already carries so much anger, react to a clan that mirrors her own rage but takes it to a whole new level? The Fire Clan forces every character to confront their own inner demons. It will test their morals and push them to their limits. The Ash People name is so fitting. Ash is what remains after everything has been burned away. It's the aftermath, the consequence. This movie is poised to burn away all the illusions, all the simple ideas of good versus evil. We're going to be left in the ashes, forced to confront the true cost of war. The story is escalating. The emotional stakes are higher than ever. It's no longer just about saving a home. It's about what you become in the process of fighting for it. Do you hold on to your principles, or do you become the monster you're fighting against? The fire will test everyone, and not everyone will come out unscathed. This isn't just another chapter, it's the point of no return. We're heading into the heart of the furnace, where the true nature of all our beloved characters will be forged and revealed. The beautiful, serene Pandora we first met is about to go up in flames, and the story will be so much richer and so much more devastating. For it, get ready, because Avatar 3 is shaping up to be an intense, character-driven war epic that will change everything we thought we knew about Pandora. Thank you so much for watching. If you're as excited and terrified for Avatar 3 as I am, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of Pandora. Let me know in the comments what you think the Ash People will be like. See you in the next one. For a long time, the world of Avatar felt morally straightforward. We knew who the bad guys were: humans, big corporations, soldiers, and their cold machines. And we knew who the victims were: the spiritual guides, the Na'vi, with their deep connection to Awa and the natural world. It was simple, it was easy to pick a side, but the real world isn't black and white. And it looks like James Cameron is finally ready to embrace that complexity. With the upcoming Fire and Ash, imagine this: a clan of Na'vi who haven't known peace for years, maybe even generations. They live in a permanent disaster zone. Their sky is choked with smoke, the ground beneath their feet is unstable, and their entire environment has turned hostile. They've watched their territory vanish, their people suffer, and their future get erased, piece by piece, partly because of what outsiders did to Pandora. When you're under that kind of relentless pressure, anyone who shows up offering power and a chance at protection doesn't look like a villain. They look like your last and only hope. This is what makes the potential alliance between this new Fire Clan of Na'vi and the humans so fascinating. From the perspective of the Forest and Reef clans, it's an unthinkable betrayal. So in their eyes, any Na'vi who willingly sides with humans is helping the very enemy that shattered their world. But even within the Sully family, things are far from simple. Their children are growing up. They've been raised in a world where war is the constant reality, not a rare exception. Think about the different paths they could take. Some of them might crave peace at any cost, willing to make compromises their parents wouldn't. Others might be consumed by a burning desire for revenge, ready to fight with even more ferocity. And some might just be exhausted, tired of being dragged into a fight they never asked for, a legacy of a war they didn't start. The introduction of the Ash People completely upends the narrative we've known. It forces us to ask a difficult question. What does it mean to be Na'vi? Is it about a spiritual connection to Eywa, a reverence for nature, and a united front against the Sky People? We could see a Na'vi civil war, a conflict between clans with fundamentally different views on how to deal with the human presence. On Pandora, it's no longer just Na'vi versus RDA, it's Na'vi versus Na'vi. This makes the RDA's strategy even more insidious. They're no longer just trying to conquer through brute force. They're exploiting the divisions and desperation that they themselves created. By presenting themselves as a potential ally to a struggling clan, they can fracture the Na'vi resistance from the inside out. And what about Kiri? Her mysterious connection to Eywa places her right at the heart of this ideological storm. If Eywa is the unifying force of all life on Pandora, how does she react when a part of that life, the Ash People, turns away or reinterprets its relationship with her? Kiri might become a bridge, a way to understand the pain and anger of the Ash People. Or she could be seen as a threat by them, a symbol of the old ways that they feel have failed them. Her journey is no longer just about discovering her own origins. It's about understanding the fracturing soul of her entire planet. This new dynamic also puts Jake Sully in an impossible position. He has always been the bridge between two worlds, but that bridge was built on the idea that he could unite the Na'vi against a common human enemy. What happens when the Na'vi are no longer united? How can he lead a people who are fighting amongst themselves? He might have to choose a side, and any choice he makes will alienate a part of the population he swore to protect. His identity as Toruk Makdo, the Great Uniter, will be tested like never before. Fire and Ash isn't just about introducing a new environment and a new clan. It's about maturing the story of Avatar itself. It's moving beyond a simple tale of good versus evil, and into a more realistic, more painful, and ultimately more compelling exploration of conflict, survival, and what it means to be a community when your world is falling apart. The lines are blurred, alliances are shifting, and for the first time, the greatest danger to the Na'vi might not be the ships in the sky, but the neighbors next door. The comfortable morality is gone, and in its place is a complex and fascinating new chapter for Pandora. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Then you have Quaritch. Putting him in a Na'vi body was a stroke of genius. It makes him the ultimate bridge, the one person who perfectly connects the human industrial machine to the wild world of Pandora. Think about it. He gets the corporate drive. He knows the military strategy inside and out. And now he understands how the Na'vi move, how they fight, and even how they feel. He's a walking, talking, blue-skinned superweapon of cultural and tactical knowledge. This is where it gets really interesting. Imagine a partnership between him, the human RDA forces, and a new, fire-forged Na'vi clan. This isn't just an invasion anymore. It's the spark for a full-blown Pandoran civil war. You'd have Na'vi fighting Na'vi, a conflict carefully orchestrated and managed by the very people who lit the match in the first place. The RDA could just sit back, pull the strings, and manage the chaos to their advantage. This completely shatters the black and white morality of the first two films. Suddenly, you can't just point to one side and call them the good guys. The moral landscape becomes incredibly murky and complex. Jake Sully and his family, they're fighting for their survival, for their home, for a sense of justice. But every choice they make, every battle they win or lose, sends ripples across Pandora, affecting countless others. Their fight for freedom could inadvertently drag other clans into a war they never wanted. Then there's this potential Fire clan. From our perspective, their actions might seem brutal, even cruel, but from their point of view, it's a desperate struggle for survival. They might be faced with a terrible choice: adapt and align with the powerful humans, or face complete extinction. Are they villains, or are they just pragmatists making the only choice they feel they have left? Their methods might be harsh, but their motivation is rooted in the primal instinct to protect their people. This dynamic forces us, the audience, to question what we would do in their position. When your back is against the wall, how far would you go? What alliances would you forge? It's a compelling ethical dilemma that adds a whole new layer of depth to the world. And of course, we have the humans, the RDA. Their core motivation hasn't changed. It's always been about profit and control. They want Pandora's resources, and they'll do whatever it takes to secure them. But they are masters of manipulation. They're incredibly skilled at wrapping their greedy intentions in the language of progress, security, and opportunity. They'll hide their true motives behind official contracts, sanctioned missions, and grand promises of a better future. They'll present themselves not as invaders, but as partners, offering technology and stability in exchange for cooperation. They exploit divisions, turning neighbor against neighbor, all while maintaining a veneer of legitimacy. It's a far more insidious form of colonialism, one fought not just with bullets and bombs, but with propaganda and politics. So, instead of a simple, straightforward story about good versus evil, this hypothetical Fire and Ash becomes something much more profound. It transforms into a story about the relentless, tragic cycle of violence. It starts with a question: who gets hurt first? That initial act of aggression, whether it's a corporation mining sacred land or a clan retaliating for a perceived threat, sets everything in motion. Then comes the inevitable reaction: who hits back? And in that act of retribution, do they become just as bad as the ones they were fighting against? This is the heart of the conflict. We could see characters we've grown to love, like Jake or Neytiri, pushed to their absolute limits, forced to make decisions that compromise their own values. The very real danger is that in their quest to destroy their enemies, they might end up becoming the very thing they hate. This cycle of aggression, retaliation, and escalation raises the real, central question of the entire saga. Is there any way to break this chain? Or is Pandora doomed to endlessly replay the same devastating war, just with different clans, different leaders, and different justifications, until there's absolutely nothing left to burn? The title Fire and Ash itself suggests a world consumed by conflict, leaving only destruction in its wake. Can anyone, whether it's Jake, a new Na'vi leader, or even a reformed human, find the strength to step off this path of destruction? Is there a character who can stand up and say, "This ends with me"? Or is the only possible ending a planet covered in ashes, a silent testament to a war that nobody truly won, just waiting for some future generation to come and try to rebuild from the ruins? Every time a new Avatar movie comes out, it feels less like a one-off blockbuster and more like we race settling in for another chapter of a massive, ridiculously expensive, long-form story. Each new installment seems to change the rules for what comes next, and the upcoming film, reportedly titled Fire and Ash, looks like it's taking the boldest leap yet in that direction. Let's start with the visuals. Building a whole movie around Fire and Ash is a seriously wild choice. Think about it. The first film gave us lush, bioluminescent forests. The Way of Water gave us breathtaking, pristine oceans. These are places that are easy to fall in love with. They're gorgeous. They're immersive. They look incredible in trailers and on posters. They make you want to just step right into the screen and live there. Fire is the complete opposite. Fire is destruction. It's about endings, about things that are broken beyond repair. The idea of sitting in a movie theater for over 3 hours watching a world that is literally burning, that's not a comforting fantasy. It's much closer to a warning, a cautionary tale. And maybe that's exactly the point James Cameron is trying to make. Pandora is no longer just a beautiful dream we want to escape into. It's becoming a real place, a place where every cool battle scene has a very real, very human or Na'vi cost. The spectacle is no longer just for our entertainment, it's a consequence. From a storytelling perspective, Cameron is also swimming against the current. After the huge success of The Way of Water, the easy, safe move would have been to give us another gorgeous, emotionally comfortable chapter. You know the formula. Introduce a few more stunning locations, show off a couple of new creatures, give us a straightforward villain to hate, and wrap it all up with a cathartic, feel-good victory at the end. It's a recipe that works, and it would have made a ton of money. Instead, he's leaning hard into loss, into moral gray areas, and into characters making choices that some fans are absolutely going to hate. He's introducing the Ash people, a tribe of Na'vi who are supposedly more aggressive, more antagonistic. This challenges the simple good versus evil narrative we've had so far. It forces us to ask, what if the conflict isn't just between the Na'vi and the humans? What if there's conflict within Pandora itself? I can already hear it now. Some people are going to walk out of Fire and Ash saying, this is too dark, it's too heavy, this isn't what I signed up for. And honestly, judging from his entire career, James Cameron is probably perfectly fine with that. He's never been the kind of filmmaker who tries to please everyone. He is trying to finish his story in a way that feels honest to the world he has built, even if that honesty is uncomfortable. Think about Aliens. He took Ridley Scott's claustrophobic horror film and turned it into an action masterpiece. With Terminator 2, he took a slasher-style villain and turned him into a hero, exploring themes of fate and humanity. He loves to subvert expectations. He's not just repeating what worked before. He's evolving the story. This isn't just about a fight for Pandora anymore. It's becoming a story about the soul of Pandora. It is also really important to remember that Fire and Ash is at the end of the saga. There are more films planned after this one. So, this chapter's job isn't to wrap everything up in a neat little bow. Its job is to break the status quo so completely that there's no going back. Its purpose is to raise the stakes to an almost unbearable level. After a Pandora that has been scarred by fire, you can't just hit a reset button and go back to a mostly peaceful forest. With a few battle scars, the world will be fundamentally changed. After Jake's family endures enough loss and it seems like major losses are coming, they can't just go back to being a cool, idealized hero clan. The trauma will change them, forcing them into new, more complex roles. Maybe Neytiri becomes harder, more militant. Maybe Jake is pushed to make compromises that go against his core beliefs. And most importantly, after a Na'vi conflict, you can no longer pretend that the only line in the sand is human versus native. The world becomes infinitely more complicated. This introduces a level of political and social complexity that the first two films only hinted at. It forces the characters and the audience to confront the idea that the enemy isn't always an outsider. Sometimes, the greatest threat comes from within. This is a classic middle chapter move. Think The Empire Strikes Back or The Two Towers. These are the stories where the heroes are tested, where they fail, where hope seems almost lost. This is where the world gets bigger and the stakes get higher. Cameron is setting the stage for a much grander, more complicated finale. The destruction we're about to see isn't just for shock value, it's the necessary catalyst for the story's next phase. So, while Fire and Ash might be a tough watch, it is also shaping up to be the most crucial and transformative part of the entire Avatar saga. It is the film that will take this series from a visually stunning adventure to a truly epic, multi-generational myth. It's the fire that will forge the future of Pandora. It promises to be dark, challenging, and probably a little bit heartbreaking. And for a storyteller like James Cameron, that's exactly where the real story begins. What do you all think? Are you ready for a darker, more complex Avatar? Or are you worried it might lose the magic of the first two films? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the movies we love. See you next time. Have you ever noticed how the biggest stories, the ones that really stick with us, aren't just about heroes winning? They're about what comes after the fight. They're about the scars, the compromises, and the long, hard road of rebuilding. And right now, it feels like the Avatar saga is standing on the edge of becoming the kind of story. We've had the wonder of Pandora, we've seen the return of the Sky People, but now we're heading into a new chapter, one that's literally titled Fire and Ash, and that title alone tells you everything you need to know. This isn't going to be a simple victory lap. Think about it. The first movie was about discovery and falling in love with a new world. The Way of Water was about family, refuge, and the impossible choices you make to protect the ones you love. But fire and ash? That sounds like consequences. It sounds like a reckoning. This is where the story has the potential to get truly complicated. And honestly, that's what makes it so exciting. It's not just about another beautiful new biome on Pandora. It's about a fundamental shift in the world itself. Let's break down what fire and ash could really mean for the future of this saga. First, there's Eywa. Up until now, Eywa has been this incredible, spiritual, almost passive force. It's the lifeblood of Pandora, a global consciousness connecting every living thing. But what happens when that consciousness decides to stop just being a network and starts being an active player? Imagine Eywa, pushed to the absolute limit by the relentless destruction from the RDA, finally fighting back, not just through the Na'vi, but directly. We could see Pandora itself turning against the invaders in ways we haven't even imagined. We're talking about a planet waging a war of its own. It would completely change the dynamic, moving Eywa from a spiritual concept into a tangible, powerful character in its own right. It would raise the stakes from a conflict between two species to a war against a living world. That's a level of epic storytelling that we've only had glimpses of so far. Then you have the introduction of the Ash people, the Fire Na'vi. This is where things get really interesting from a moral standpoint. James Cameron has hinted that they're not going to be the good guys. They're a clan that might see things differently, maybe even siding with the humans for their own reasons. This is a brilliant move because it shatters the simple us versus them narrative. Suddenly, the Na'vi are not a monolith. They have internal conflicts, different philosophies, and can even become antagonists to our heroes. Let's speculate a bit on their motivations. Maybe the Ash people have been living in a harsh, volcanic region, a part of Pandora that isn't the lush paradise we know. Perhaps they've developed a more brutal, survival of the fittest mentality. What if they see the RDA not as destroyers, but as a source of power, a tool they can use to conquer other clans and reshape Pandora in their own image? Their alliance with the humans could be a devastating blow to Na'vi unity. But what's even more compelling is the potential for tragedy. What if the Fire Clan realizes too late that they've made a deal with the devil? What if their alliance costs them their connection to Eywa, their culture, their very soul? They could become a tragic warning, a story about how seeking power at any cost ultimately leads to your own destruction. Instead of just being one-dimensional villains, they would become a mirror showing the dark path that desperation can lead you down. And that brings us to the heart of the story, Jake Sully's family. The Way of Water was all about Jake's desperate attempts to keep his family out of the war. He ran, he hid, but the war found them anyway. Now, in a story called Fire and Ash, it feels almost inevitable that this family is going to face its greatest test yet. It's a harsh thought, but what if someone doesn't make it? The death of a major character, especially one of Jake and Neytiri's children, would be a cataclysmic event. It would be the literal ash from which the rest of the saga is born. That kind of loss changes people. It could push Jake from a reluctant leader into a hardened warrior seeking vengeance. It could fracture the family, with each member dealing with their grief in different, possibly conflicting ways. It would force the story into a much darker, more mature space, where the cost of war is no longer an abstract idea but a deeply personal, bleeding wound. The point of all this speculation isn't to guess the exact plot. It is to recognize that the pieces are being set for a fundamental change in the story's DNA. Fire and Ash isn't just about extending the franchise. It's poised to deepen it, to complicate it, to make it more resonant with the world we live in today. And that's why a movie like this can matter beyond just being a visual spectacle. Let's be real for a second. We live in a world where we see images of conflict and destruction on our screens every day. We know what bombed-out cities look like. We understand the complex, heartbreaking cycle where the victims of one conflict can become the aggressors in the next. Most giant Hollywood blockbusters tend to shy away from this uncomfortable reality. They give us clean endings, where good triumphs and everything is magically reset for the next adventure. But Avatar, Fire and Ash has the chance to be different. It has the opportunity to use the language of a blockbuster to say something profound about the aftermath of war. It can show us that there are no easy resets. There are just long shadows, impossible choices, and generations that have to inherit a world scarred by the decisions of those who came before them. It can explore the idea that peace isn't just the absence of fighting. It's the painstaking process of rebuilding, of forgiving, and of learning to live with the ghosts of the past. Will Jake be able to hold his family and his people together when the world is literally burning around them? Can you truly protect your family at any cost without losing a part of your own humanity? These are the heavy, adult questions that Fire and Ash is set up to ask. It could be the moment the Avatar saga transitions from a beautiful escapist fantasy into a powerful, allegorical epic about our own struggles with conflict, loss, and the hope for a better future. And this is where I want to bring you into the conversation, because at the end of the day, these stories are for us, the audience. So, I want to know what you are hoping to see in Avatar: Fire and Ash. Are you primarily here for the groundbreaking visuals, the epic action, and exploring another stunning corner of Pandora? Or are you, like me, really curious to see the story grow up, to become a heavier, more complex narrative about the true cost of war on people and their world? Whose side do you find more compelling? The side trying to protect their family and their home at all costs? Or the side that's been pushed so far, that's in so much pain, that they're ready to burn everything down just to make it stop? There are no wrong answers here. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you want, what you expect, and what you fear for the future of Pandora. I'll be reading through all of them, and it'll be fascinating to see where everyone stands before we all get to step back into this world and watch it go through the fire. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.